Hey, listeners, I'm Dr. Jon Oberg here again with Randy Lawrence and Randy. New day, new topic, new try, little experiment here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna start talking about current events. We've had listeners have given us feedback that they wanted to hear our opinion on some things, and we're not going to turn the show into that. It's certainly not going to be a political show. That's not our intention, but we do want to discuss current events that apply to abundance, and in particular the five Fs, and maybe even sometimes abundance blockers. So I think it'll
Yeah.
be interesting. I wish we had Anthony here for this discussion today, but uh,
Well, he's living the abundance today. Like he's off, traveling, and maybe we get a little trip update from him on one of these shows about how this trip has gone. So that'll be fun.
yeah, Europe, Italy. We're
Love
just
it.
color me jealous.
Yeah, I was going to say that's two of us. It's of the many things we agree on, that's one more thing in the agree column.
Yes.
So, which is great. Fun of the show though. There's some things we sometimes disagree on, and today I think I'm not sure where we're going to go with some of these topics. There's some things in the news that have been kind of not the headline, but like they're headlines. They're just not the headline today. And one of them is about the government is trying to do some things under the banner of national security to bring some more semiconductor production onshore. And they've taken a 10% equity position in Intel at a discounted price, evidently. And this was news to me. You actually called this one out for me. I didn't see it go across the news. I don't consume tons and tons of news, but you brought this one up. I did a little bit of reading on it. You've got a strong opinion about this.
Oh, I have a very strong opinion about this. Let me say that, this administration has been talking about this, and I think some really smart people have valid points that the government, if they're going to give money to these companies, that we, the taxpayers, should get something back. And I agree with that. That makes perfect sense, right? Like, if we're going to write checks, like when we bailed out the banks in 08, 09, I would have loved if the taxpayers got something back in return.
Did some
Oh,
of them get something back in return? Was some of that paid back or no? I don't
I don't
remember.
think much. I know Lee Iacocca when Chrysler got bailed out back whatever year that was.
That was the
Um,
80s, I think.
yeah, they paid back. I know they paid back, but I don't think the banks. A lot of that, the taxpayers, we just got screwed. The banks, and we heard about all the big bonuses. But so on one hand, I'm super sympathetic to, yes, as taxpayers, quit screwing us, quit taking our money, giving it to somebody, and giving us nothing back. So, in this case, 10%, I think technically it's 9.9% of non-voting shares went to the government. They issued more shares, so it cost Intel nothing. And if people don't know, the government, it was they gave them $5.7 billion of money from the CHIPS Act. So it was already an act that's been around for a couple of years. And they just said, here, we're going to take 5.7 billion that we've already approved and give it to Intel. So they give the money, but they get 10% back, which on a surface to me is completely reasonable, right? Like
Well, it does cost Intel something, right? Because all of those shareholders at Intel then get diluted. So
correct.
there is shareholder dilution, so
Right.
just, I mean, okay. It sounds like you like the idea at a high level.
Yeah, but I do not like it in practice at all. I think this is a slippery, slippery, slippery slope. Um, I mean, John, little quiz for you. Do you know what we call it when the government controls the means of production?
What do we call that?
We call that
Communism.
communism or socialism,
Yeah.
right? Like that's like government controlling industries is really, really scary to me because we have multiple tests. None of them have worked. They've all led to starvation, people dying, authoritarianism. Like I think this is I understand where they're coming from. I think it's even smart. I'm just worried. I'm not worried about the 10% in Intel. I'm worried about the next time and they take another 10 and the next time they take another 10 and they got 5% of this company and 32% of this company. And pretty soon the government runs production because they're going to keep printing money. They're going to keep sending this stuff out. What are your feelings on it? Again, you haven't thought about this as much as I have, but what do you feel about it?
I one of my mentors is really smart when it comes to like semiconductor. His PhD was in this space, and I'd be super interested to kind of get his take on it. My first thought went to if I'm like, AMD, Texas Instruments, Qualcomm, Broadcom. I don't know if Micron's a US company or not, but like, how do I feel about the US government investing in a company? And then are they going to pick a winner in the field like that from a capitalist perspective? If I wasn't worried about the things you're worried about, I think there's other things to be worried about, which is the government picking winners? And I get a little bit nervous about that too. I don't think the government picking winners is a great idea. I'm more of a fan of regulation being as little as possible and the government being not as involved. Um, but again, I think of all the people I'm the least policy kind of informed.
Yeah, I just think it's a really I'm a big believer that once the what's the thing once the camel gets its nose under the tent, right? Like I think once you or another analogy, if you put once you let the horse out of the barn, there's no getting them back in or whatever. I I
But there is
think this is
look,
going to keep growing.
the U.S. government did do a nice job of getting out of like in 2008, 9, they got into the banks and I think they got back out and they got into some of the car manufacturers. I remember Ford famously didn't take money, if I recall correctly. And I think they then got out of that business. So, I think the idea of, being able to put back onshore some of like the mission critical capabilities is an understandable perspective. Um,
Well,
I kind of thought once we had the globalization, we wouldn't go back, but
there is a national security part, right? Like they're trying to that's also part of it is we do need chips for national security.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
I understand like there's a lot of parts of it that I'm sympathetic in. I mean, I think this is a complex issue. Like the
I
national
think, yeah, and for listeners, I think, one of the things I ask Randy about all the time, like when he and I are talking offline, is like, so what does that mean for me? What can I do about it? Like that's consistently one of the things that I ask is like, what does this mean for me? So like one of the things it means for me is I'm going to ask my financial advisor, like, what does this do, if anything, to my portfolio? Like, is this a thought process about how we're investing? And then I just want to know. And then I think I'm gonna be thoughtful about like what computer chipsets go into my computer. Like I'm very curious about how Apple's producing chips. Where is it, onshore, offshore? And I just what it leads to me is it for me it's like, how can I be better informed
yeah.
for things that may impact me directly,
I
even
mean,
if I'm not interested in policy.
yeah. I mean, certainly investments, right? And how it affects your family.
Yeah.
I mean, Intel prices, I'm pretty sure skyrocketed after the announcement, by the way, which
Stock prices, you mean?
the stock, what did I say? Yeah, stock prices.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they went up significantly. And now I don't know if they've stayed up or not, but you would think a 10% dilution in shares, stock price would go down, but it went up. So clearly what the market is telling you is they think that this company is worth more and they're going to get more government contracts. I mean, that's what it seems to me the market's betting on.
When did this whole thing happen? Do you know?
It was a few weeks ago. It's in the last month, I think.
I'm just looking. It looks like shares up to 25.31 at the high point on the 19th of August. Today they're at 24.78, and they've been, even just on 2 days later, they were down at 23.50. So I don't know what any of that means, but
Well, I mean, the markets are not that logical a lot of times, so who knows? But all right, I think we can put a pin in this one. Do you have any final thoughts here?
For me, I want, it tells me just one more thing I want to ask people in my, I always think about like, what does it mean for me? What does it mean for my community? And then how do I, if at all, get involved in policy? And me, I'm famously kind of less policy
No.
as my career path. So I start with like individually, what does it mean for my company and community? What does it mean? And just a few more questions I want to ask to be educated. So I think that's an important one.
Well, let's move to a lot of people are talking about rate cuts at the Fed. And the announcement, I looked it up right before. It's supposed to be on the 16th or the 17th of September. So Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. By the time this comes out, there's a good chance it will be announced. And the Fed has, been holding rates steady, fighting inflation, and now the suggestions are that it's almost guaranteed there's going to be a 25 basis point, or if you don't know what that means, a quarter of 1% is 25 basis points, to a 50 basis point. I mean, I've heard people saying it should be 100 basis points, 1%. I don't think it's going to be that. But what I want to talk about here is I think it's a foregone conclusion they're going to do it. What is the impact? And this is back to your question, John. Like, what impact does this have? It might be your stock portfolio, it might be your real estate portfolio, it could be if you need a mortgage, and what impact is that going to have? So,
Yeah, first of all, I love when people say things like a foregone conclusion with the government, with the Fed, because what that means is we definitely don't know. Like, I think
well,
a lot of people are talking about this. I think a lot of people are supporting it, and a lot of people want to see the economy accelerate. And so I think what most people are saying is there's been a slowdown in the economy that people want to see accelerated in specific areas. And so, like, real estate's a great example. I think, you know, the Fed cutting rates doesn't directly lead to mortgage rates, but I think it does have an influence on that. And I think that people feel it's like if mortgage rates could come back down into the, fives, more consistently. I think you do see some mortgages in the fives now, but more consistently, I think you'd see they're a little more that allows for higher prices with housing, and people have been resistant to lower the prices. So I think you might see some improved velocity. My experience with a couple markets that I've seen in real estate is that things have slowed down a little bit, and you have properties that are staying on the market longer. Sellers are less not super willing to lower price, although that is certainly happening. And so, if you were to kind of make mortgages more affordable, that allows the sellers to hold the prices firm and have more access to capital in the capital markets. I think a lot of people would say that's a good thing. I think there are some people that would also say that you're playing with the idea that inflation, you could create an inflationary environment too. I don't know where that balance is. I just know that it's a tough balance. So
well, I might push back on you a little bit about the foregone conclusion thing, and I think your statement directionally is correct almost all the time. But the Fed, I get really wonky into this stuff, as you know, and I won't
yeah,
bore the
and I
listener.
and I
But
and I don't
um,
for the listeners,
yeah,
right? Like, yeah,
the Fed for several years now has not wanted to disappoint the markets. I would say that in a lot of ways, the market's expectations have led the Fed more
Hmm.
than the Fed and more than the data, even though they claim to be data dependent. I mean, there's so many problems with, God, I could talk about this for hours. But the data dependency, they don't have accurate data, right? Like we just had a jobs report revised down from most of it was from 2024, but I think from the first quarter of this year, almost a million jobs, and many of those months had been revised down twice already, right? Like they'd have a report, revise it down, revise it down. Now they took another million jobs off the top. They're just not using current data, and they're using surveys and a lot of other things. We don't need to get that wonky, but it's I also understand where the administration's coming from because we have $37 trillion in debt, and we're paying more money in interest on the debt currently than we spend on military or Social Security or it's our single biggest government expense is interest on the
Sure.
debt, and that's just not sustainable because the debt's going up. I just recently heard we added $1 trillion in 2 months recently, and every time I turn around, it's 100 days, it's 60 days. I think last month we added half a trillion in 30 days or whatever. Um, we can't keep paying. We have a lot of abundance in this country, but we're not going to have it if we keep paying this interest. So on one hand,
No.
they have to cut the rates. Now the question is, will rates go down?
Yeah.
Because last fall, right before the election, they cut rates 3 times, and all 3 times, while the Fed rate went down, the 10-year, the 30-year, and mortgage rates actually went up.
Yeah.
And the market was saying, you guys are too, I mean, to me, what I hear is the market is saying, you guys are too much in debt, you're financially irresponsible, and we're sick of loaning you money, and it's going to cost more to get us to give you money.
Well, that's where I go back to, like, we talk about these things. Sometimes they're so esoteric and kind of abstract for even someone like me. It's like, what does that mean for me? Like, what are the conversations that I need to be having with my family? What are the choices I need to be making differently? And so that's what I get back to is like, okay, that for the country tough. And so how do I need to manage my household? And then I think those are the So for me, that's the question I ask is so when I see these things, what does it mean for me? What are the conversations I can have that involve my family, then with my companies and with, those are the things I try to think through.
So I can't answer that for you. I can tell you what I think it means for me. I'm
Sure.
hoping for lower rates, right? Because I bought a house 2 years ago. The market was I got a great deal on the house, brand new house, because it wasn't moving because of interest rates. So, but I now have a 6.75% interest rate locked in. I would
Yeah.
love to knock a couple points off that thing and
Yeah,
refinance.
sure.
So
Sure.
that's one of my hopes. But to your point earlier, if interest rates go down, home building is going to go. That helps the mortgage industry. That helps the builders. That helps those people spend money at the grocery store and vacations
Yeah.
and whatever else. So
Yeah.
it also could be really good for the economy. But the and this is getting a little wonky, but in a nutshell, my feeling is the market is going to respond the same way and rates are going to go up and they literally we cannot afford that as a country. It's not an option to have rates get higher. They have to cut the interest rates. And the only way to do that, the lever that the Fed pulls, is they will print more money. And the Fed will increase its balance sheet. They will buy bonds at lower rates, lower bids. And therefore, I think that means inflation. Assuming I'm right, that is great for stocks. That's great for housing. That is great for Bitcoin, which is where a lot of my net worth is. However, it is really bad for lower class, even lower middle class, because expenses go up and
Yeah.
it means more inflation and people that don't. It's really great if you own $1 million house and it goes to 1.5, but if you're trying to buy a house and all of a sudden the price goes up 50%, this isn't very good for you. It's not good
Yeah,
for living.
especially with some prime credit. And, maybe for the next time we get together to talk about headlines, I just saw a headline that said, next year is the first year that a declining birth rate is going to impact college applications.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know the size of the education industry relative to the rest of the country's industries, but I wonder what kind of impact that's going to have. So maybe we can pick that one up next time. But again, it's policy level, lots of things going on. What does that do to impact the companies that we are involved with? What needs to happen kind of individually to be aware and make moves. And yeah, so I think those are really great questions. So
All right. Well, I think we can move on to our regular scheduled guest.
all right,
All right, John, I enjoyed this. I think this is a good change for the better moving
good
forward.
stuff. Yeah,
All right.
we'll hope most good changes for the better.
Yeah. Hey, it's Randy from Tales of Abundance. Is starting a business part of your journey? Do you have ambition but no clear path? Maybe you feel trapped in your current career. Do you want a real business that can produce $250,000 or more income for you and your family? We have an opportunity for a profitable business that can be part of your path to abundance. I want to personally invite you to see the proven system we've built. It's designed to give you that freedom and control you've been searching for. Visit premiumcabinets.com/abundance to learn more. That's premiumcabinets.com/abundance.
All right, listeners, welcome back to Tales of Abundance. I am Dr. Jon Oberg here with you today with Lori and Michael Parker. A little bit of a different show today. Today we're going to be talking to people out here in Lubbock, Texas. We have a whole group of people coming in for a whole lot of different media reasons. And met Lori and Michael. We go back a long way now. We're 6-7 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
That's a long
time
time.
friends.
It's great. And in West Texas, where we are today, like that. So, I mean, friendships go on for decades and decades and decades. So for 6 minutes, we're going to get to know each other pretty quick.
I'm excited.
Let's do it.
Okay, not much background. So you two met here in Lubbock.
We did. We did. My brother was a state trooper, and then that's how I met my husband, through my brother, because he was a highway patrolman.
Okay, so he didn't pull you over.
No. Jokingly, he did one time, but that was okay.
They knew, but they knew what was going on.
Yes.
Okay, I got to hear this. Michael, how does that work out?
Well, so we had been talking. I knew she was coming down a certain road. I was working that night. And so I knew what vehicle to look for, of course, right? Of course, she didn't know where I was at. So,
You know each other at this point.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We
all right.
were dating at that
Okay,
time.
all right.
So as soon as I see her come up, I'm like, man, this is going to be great. Here we go. So I turned on the red and blues, and she pulled over, and I kind of had my hat down, where she couldn't see my face when I got up there. And boy,
And I was nervous.
Who wouldn't be?
I mean, so nervous.
And Of course, I tried to disguise my voice a little bit, but I couldn't keep a straight face after a while because she was nervous. And then I just started laughing and I almost got punched, I think.
Was it funny or were you mad?
Oh no, it was hilarious. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm over here sweating. I couldn't even find my insurance. So yes, I was very nervous.
That's pretty
It was
bold for a
funny.
woman whose brother carries a gun for a living. Like that. It's a good one. All right. So, but you don't live in Lubbock now. You live in Midland, Odessa. Which part?
We do in Midland.
Okay.
We've traveled all over Texas. We, because of his job, and that's okay. Wherever we're at, I adjust and go from there. Meet new friends.
All right. And so, what took you from Lubbock to Midland?
Oh, where do we start?
Well, it was the job. It was a transfer. We went from Lubbock to San Antonio. We had just gotten married and went there. And as a trooper, I promoted up to the Criminal Intelligence Service, was what they called it back then, doing undercover work with different gangs and whatnot. So we went to El Paso for that. And then I promoted to Texas Rangers. I was with those guys for 15 years, and I moved around a lot. I always tell people, any town that ends with an O in Texas, we've lived there.
Okay, there's so many questions I have. Like, number one, you don't look like a gang undercover kind of guy to me. Am I just bad assumptions on my part?
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was different for me. I like shaving, but I had to learn to get the 5 o'clock shadow going. It was different. Yeah. But,
Laura, what do you think about all that?
Oh, I thought he looks handsome either way, And for me, I'm like, wow, that's a different look.
That's the right
So
answer. We're being recorded, so that's exactly the right answer. Okay. So you're working, were you undercover?
Yes, I was only with the undercover for 6 months when I made Ranger. So I wasn't in there that long to really get into it, but I did a little bit.
And then, now, Laura, you're married to one of the famed Texas Rangers. I grew up in California, and all we know about Texas Rangers in California is one riot, one ranger.
That's the way it works, and I'm like, well, he's probably arrested some of my family, a long time ago, But at the same time, I had never met a knight in shining armor in that, as a Texas Ranger, as a state trooper, and for me, I was, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so nerve-wracking for me. But it's been quite an adventure, and I'm so happy. So.
I mean, if you live, for me at least, where I grew up, if you were a Texas Ranger, we just assume you got issued a cape and a mask, you're a superhero. What was that like getting the nod?
I had a lot of friends that were Rangers when I first got in, and when I got the phone call that, hey, from the assistant chief that, hey, you've made it, it was kind of like, I think most guys would be just excited and all that, and I think I felt like my stomach was turned upside down because I knew what I was fixing to get into, because with that job, everybody expects perfection.
Yeah.
Especially when you're working a criminal investigation, you've got a lot of people looking at you. They want successful results. So that's a heavy burden to carry, because everybody thinks, because I'm a highway patrol one day and the next day I'm wearing the Cinco Peso badge, and I'm supposed to be an expert in everything, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
So it was a big wake up call for me that, hey, I've really got to pick it up. I've really got to do the best I can every day. With every case I get, I have to investigate it as thoroughly as possible and get justice for those family members.
These are major investigations.
Yes, sir. Yeah, homicides, sexual assaults. We did official oppression, public officials. Officer involved shootings is another big one that we investigated a lot too. So that we did protection details for the governor. I was also on the Ranger Recon team, so we would go down to support the Border Patrol down on the Texas-Mexico border.
Okay.
So I was involved in that as well. So we wore a lot of hats in the Rangers, and
when a Texan says he wears a lot of hats, you got to take that seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. It's a lot.
Plus, he had to come home and be the dad, be the husband, and for me, I didn't understand all of that because I'm like, okay, he needs a little bit of time to just gather himself before I throw a lot at him. So if am I gonna speak life to him, or I'm just gonna throw not literally a knife, but what am I gonna do for him?
And so now, I've never had law enforcement in my family, right? So I think that when that happens, as the one who's not the law enforcement part of the family, I would be a nervous wreck.
Oh, that happened every time he went out the door.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know who he's going to run into or who's looking for him in particular, or if they know who I am or, our son. So that can be nerve-wracking. All I could just depend on was my prayer and my faith.
And so, Lori, you said you have kids. That kept you pretty busy. That's a more than full-time job.
Well, Pearson was, when you got in Ranger, you were what?
Well, that was in 2008.
2000. So he was pretty much, in his junior high. Like that's, boys are going to be boys.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. So, he kept me busy on my toes and as well, wondering about Michael. Plus we had 2 dogs, so they kept me on my toes too. So,
So
bring 'em
one
all
kid, 2 dogs, and then at
dogs.
some point you decided to start a business.
We did.
Oh, we did. We did. We've been in network marketing for quite some time, but this one, drop the mic because
Yeah.
it is life changing.
Yeah.
It has changed. It changed my dad's life, and that was one of the main reasons we got into this one in particular. And I came home. One of my friends called me. She goes, "Lori, you're never going to believe what I have my hands on. I want to help you and your sweet dad." Her dad had gone through chemo, unfortunately lost her dad. My dad went through chemo, and he's a thriver now, but he had no quality of life.
And does he talk about what type of cancer he had?
He had a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, B cell, and that was like right near his spine. So surgery was not an option for him. As far as me, I was like, okay, how can I get it, and what is it? She goes, well, hold on, I haven't even signed up. I was like, well, you called me, and I want this in my dad's hands.
Yeah.
Long story short, we put the patch on my dad, and that day, he's a one-patch wonder. That day, he was outside instead of napping. He was actually working on his truck instead of wondering if, he's going to wake up or not sometimes. And then he was underneath his truck. So my mother was like, it's already after 1 o'clock. He needs to come in and eat. And I was like, why is he out there? Well, I don't know. He put that patch on. He's been out there ever since. And for me to hear that, I'm like, are you kidding me? If that can do that for my dad, what can it do for my other friends and family that I know? So for me, it's service, and I want to help others. And I know Michael does too. So.
Now, Michael, were you still working with law enforcement when this new company kicked off for you?
No, sir. I retired in January of 2023, and I currently work for the oil and gas industry doing security work there in the Midland area. And when Lori first told me about it,
There's so many landman references we could make about a security guy,
That could be a whole episode.
an ex Texas Ranger. Like I've got, now I think you're like Chuck Norris, right? I'm afraid okay, let's keep going. I'm going to sit further back so I don't get in trouble, but keep going.
Yeah. So I'm working for the oil and gas industry. And then, so this was October of 2023. So that's when she's telling me about it. Now granted, we've already done another business before that didn't do too well.
Sure.
And so I didn't want to hear it. And when she was telling about this patch and non-transdermal, non-invasive, it's a patented technology that nobody else has. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, that thing looks like a Band-Aid. I don't see how it's going to do that. Because I'm skeptical of people. There's so much fraud. I investigate a lot of fraud too. So, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what kind of snake oil is this? But here's the thing. When I would do criminal investigations, I always had an open mind. I put my biases aside, and I always let the evidence and the facts lead me to the truth.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's what I did with this patch here, and it blew my doors off. Once I got it on my body, I saw what it did for Lori, her dad, other friends and family we put on. I said, hey, this is the real deal. This is something that we can definitely hang our hat on and share with everybody.
Well, when the show's over, we'll ask you guys to send us the science, and we'll put it in the show notes. And so when people are skeptical, they can get here's the studies, here are the things that have been done, here's the patents, and we'll put your contact information so they can get a hold of you as well.
Perfect.
That'll be great.
Yes.
Sounds good.
And so you started this business in 2023. You've got now a small business in network marketing. You've got a business as a security guy. Mm-hmm. How many questions do you get about the new show Landman?
It's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I tell them, they're like, hey, look, not all that movie is filmed in Midland, Texas, I can assure you, because there's no trees in there. So I'm like, some of that was probably in Fort Worth, Dallas, the rolling hills. Yeah, or somewhere over there. But I tell Lori, we've seen some episodes. I'm like, that's Midland. Okay, that's not Midland.
Yeah.
And the coffee shop is not in Midland at all. So, just saying, if you girls are out there trying to look for that kind of a job, don't come to Midland because it's not there.
That's funny. Well, and you know, it's fun. It just occurred. So, Tales of Abundance, Why Settle for Less? That's the name of our show. You're in 2 businesses right now that really understand boom and bust. Network marketing.
Yes.
There's a lot of hit it big and miss it big. In energy, like oil and gas, there's a
Yes.
lot of hit it big, miss it big. So, tell me some of your favorite, you know, Midland stories, or El Paso or San Antonio or anywhere you've been. Like what are some of your favorite boom and bust stories, real or fictional?
I think the one that I probably appreciate the most is, so we were in Abilene, and I promoted to lieutenant in the Rangers, and we went to Laredo. And Abilene, we had a nice house.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to pause for a second. Where you're already laughing here.
I am laughing.
What are you going to add here?
Well, you know, I'm all about adventure, and we bought our house, and I'm so excited to be in this house, and I can just see it. You know, I envision what this house is going to look like because, yeah, I mean, as a dreamer, you know, you want to go and pursue all those dreams and make your house the way, you know, it's ours now. Let's do it. We're going to Laredo. That is not a place where I wanted to live. But again, it's adventure. And everywhere we moved, you know, I made do with what I had. As far as Michael and I go, we're happy where we go. And let me tell you, adventures are great.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a dream, you know, just trust me, you know, start dreaming again. Because for me, like, I'm excited of moving forward, especially with this business, because I'm able to dream bigger.
I think that's really true. I think, you know, independent of the product or service or company or, you know, law enforcement with the ladder that you climb, I think having that view, that really crystal clear, and it may not be like, I don't know about you, I'm not here today. I didn't think I would be here 10 years ago, right? But I knew that directionally I wanted more, right? And you guys have been married how long now?
20 years.
20 years.
We just had our 20-year anniversary.
And, you know, we talk about trips. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But 20 years, like, I never thought we were ever going to go to the Grand Cayman Islands. And, you know, having this business helped us, you know, pursue that, get that off our bucket list.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was fishing the other day, and one of my bucket list items was to catch a tuna and eat the tuna right on the boat. And about 4 weeks before I went fishing, a chef was like, you know, they're supposed to flash freeze that and let it sit for 3 days so you don't actually eat parasites. And so we were on the boat, caught a tuna. They're like, do you want some? I was like, I'm good. It's like I checked it off my bucket list 4 weeks ago by not catching one.
Yeah.
So I
Change your heart there.
Well, change a gut really.
That's true.
You know, gut health is pretty important. Having extra parasites wasn't part of my
is.
deal. So,
Yeah.
and it probably wouldn't have been a thing. It just happened back to back, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait to make sure that's treated appropriately. That's fun. So 20. Okay, so you know we talk about family a lot on our show. What's the key to? It looks like a pretty happy 20 years sitting here today.
Yeah.
It is. It has been.
Yeah. The key is communication. You know, I think that's like with business, right? I mean, communications is key, and I know our marriage is based off of communication, staying in contact with each other, working things out. If there's an issue, we resolve it. And
But did you have to learn that from somewhere? Or did it come naturally? Did you see your parents do it? How did you figure that out? Because in my world, my father died when I was really young, so I didn't have a model to watch with my parents. I had to go learn about marriage. How did you figure that out?
Oh, geez. So I'll start with me. Basically, I grew up, you know, in a Christian home and faith believing, and you know, I saw my parents. I saw them love each other. I saw, you know, like they showed up for me, and I'm like, well, Dad had a rough day. Mom just went over there and was ironing and just put that aside and comforted him, and I mean, you know, just talked to him. And so I knew with Michael and what he did out there, you know, I needed to set an example, not just for myself, but anyone else watching as far as women goes. You know, I needed to let him know I'm here for you if you want to talk.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't shut him out, and I knew he couldn't shut me out. So I left that door of communication open. That was so important. And we grew through all of that. All these years, we've grown through all of it. And it's been exciting just to see our lives as a couple just grow and increase. in our relationship and in, just being relational with a lot of people too along the way. So we've been able to help others.
Yeah, I think, and I think, so I was talking to someone recently about like what happens during the hard times, because every long-term relationship has rough patches, right? And so what were the belief systems or the conversations that helped you weather the storm or storms?
Well, again, it just goes back to my faith and having close friends, and some of these friends I've just kept in contact in every place I've moved, it's like, hey, I need you to pray for me. One of them's a elementary friend, and she lives in Bernie, bless her heart. She's, fighting cancer right now, but, I'm like, golly, I just thank you so much for your friendship, and you've helped me along the way, and we talk about, our marriages and what can we do better as wives. So it's been interesting along the way.
It's hard to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what can I do better when there's a storm, right? Easier to point to somebody else.
I've always learned, you just have to thank God every day, because every day is a gift.
Yeah, I don't listen to tons of Michael Jackson, but that song "Man in the Mirror," it was like, man, I hate that song. I should listen to it a lot more often. That's fun. And Michael, how about for you? What are the things that have helped you get through the storms?
I think like Lori said, it's about faith. I mean, when I met her, I believed in God, but I didn't really. I don't know. I mean, my family, we were in a small West Texas town, so we didn't go to church, but we believed God. And I always thought, well, it's about being a good person. That's what I thought until her dad got a hold of me. Because he was a pastor. I mean, that's all he's done. So that kind of opened up my mind to reading about the Bible. I started reading the Bible more and looking at the principles and really seeing how her family was raised, was a game changer. I'm like, well, her parents, how long have they been married for?
60 years.
They just had their anniversary. Big anniversary.
60 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I want to go to those parties, even if I know the couple, just to listen to how they got to 60 years.
So they're doing something right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's 60 years, I mean, there's a secret to success that we want to know. But
what would they say, you think?
Well, that's what. So this is what was weird. So right before we got married, we go to talk to her dad. Right, you do the pastor talk.
Did you take your gun?
No, I did not.
Okay, it's a fair question, though, right?
Probably had one.
Yeah. Because he's done that so many times where he's talked to people about to get married.
Yeah.
Well, here his daughter, and then here I am, and and he's talking about finances.
Okay, more nervous facing a criminal with a gun, or more nervous facing her dad, asking for a friend? Which was more nerve wracking?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, facing him.
Yeah,
sure.
her dad. Okay, we knew that was
down.
The answer. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
that's hands down. But then he's talking about sex and marriage and stuff, and I'm thinking,
how uncomfortable was that?
Yeah, tell me about it.
That was uncomfortable.
Yeah, her dad, pastor, and I'm sitting here going, But yeah, I mean, we
as if you didn't understand what it was, or just what was your intention? What was that conversation?
Now he just talks about a successful marriage.
Oh, okay.
About the couples need to get on the same page, and it's about communication. It's about your finances, because
We
now
don't talk about these things in our society. You really have to work to talk about sex and money and kids and religion, and these are topics that are laden with friction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sex part was one of those oh. Y'all talked about that? Really? I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh, I'm embarrassed. But I'm glad, because that's
okay. Now I got to dive in and talk. And not to put you on the spot, but this is a really important topic. And by the way, I've talked to couples married 50 years, and in one case, there's a couple that have been a mentor for me for a long time, and they talk about it regularly. And I mean, at first I blushed. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But then I recognized this is actually a topic, and if you don't share that with other people, then they don't know. So getting on the same page about how often, about what's working, not working.
Yeah, and another thing that
we just met literally 5 minutes before this, so
we're being transparent.
Yeah.
So.
Nobody wants to talk about this. I'm so glad you're willing to open up and talk about it.
Yeah, and it's like they say, hey, don't withhold sex from the other to get back at them or to prove your point. I mean, sex is a gift to the married couple. It's a gift from God. I mean, it's that's part of it, right?
Not currency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's very important. I mean, the intimacy part, being together, being one, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Along with the communication, everything else. I mean, I really think that's what's really helped our marriage is just the openness, the intimacy, communication.
You have a son, Pearson.
Yes, sir.
How old is he?
He's 28.
And so have you shared any of this knowledge with him?
Yes. I think he is he's a very Christian oriented guy. He's very picky. I mean, he knows.
And that's good.
Yeah. He doesn't just go try and pick up women and stuff. He's very selective because I'm not going to date them unless they're wife material.
Yeah.
You know,
That's great.
he's not going to sleep around and do all that stuff. So, I mean, at 28, I was different. I wasn't like him. And so
You were pulling over ladies on the side of the road with a gun. Yeah, we heard about that.
Yeah, and his wife's in the car watching like, hey, no.
yeah, exactly.
Lori's got a sense of humor. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, sense of humor helps for a marriage too.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pull jokes
have
on each
fun.
other. Yeah, we do. We have a good time. We laugh a lot. She's got a sense of humor. There's things
Does he?
back and forth. So there's a lot of comedy in our marriage, which is great.
Lori, what's your best one? I know you've quiet, but I can see.
I am quiet.
Yeah.
This for me, like talking into this little microphone here in front of me, I feel like it's just the biggest thing ever, and I'm afraid of it, but I'm not anymore. But let me tell you, I don't know. I like to have fun.
And so tell me about a time Michael didn't see it coming, like the crying, laughing that I know probably happens.
I think he's done more of it to me though, because I'm very gullible. I mean, I am. If I can just share this, I was working at a day spa, and I'm a massage therapist, for those that don't know, but I'm trying to memorize our home number. Okay, 210, right. And the phone rings, and I'm answering the phone, trying to, make the schedule. And then he's on the other end. Well, I didn't recognize it because I'm here
Right.
at work in a new place. He goes, yeah, I was just calling to see if I can get a massage. And I'm thinking, okay.
Did you disguise your voice again?
I did
Okay.
because
See, he's the one.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
does
I
the
picked
most.
up on it that I'm like, she doesn't know it's me on the other line. So I was
didn't.
like, man, this is prime opportunity right here. Okay.
And
So-
pardon what I'm going to say, but he's like, yeah, I just got a question. I said, yeah, how can I help you? He goes, do you massage testicles? And I'm like, I just dropped the phone from my ear, and I'm like, are you kidding? I said, no, sir, we do not. And by that time, he's already laughing. I'm like,
Yeah,
Michael, is
I
this
couldn't
you?
hold it together. I was going to try and keep running with it, but I couldn't do it.
So he's the one he's the jokester.
I can tell you what I'd have for dinner if I did that to my wife at work.
But and I'm like, oh, what else does he have? I think he's pulled more on me than I have him. So I don't know. He might can answer that.
That was the one that I was going to share.
Oh, okay.
That you just told. That's probably the best one because you didn't see it coming.
He's more of the jokester.
Oh man.
I'm so gullible. I really am.
And so you've passed this knowledge down to the next generation, which I think is critically important as we help. The breakdown of the family unit, whether you're have a Christian belief system or not. It's well known by our audience. I'm a devout Catholic, and so we talk about that on the show with some regularity. But the breakdown of the family unit's hard. It's hard for kids. It's hard for parents. It's hard for everybody. And so passing on how to have successful marriage. That's
Yeah. So, and our son's even told us, he's seen our marriage, and that's kind of what he wants. He wants to find a girl that he is compatible with like that. And it all goes back to also, God's first and foremost. He's at the head, and the thing is the way Lori was brought up. I mean, we each know our roles, and we work together, and it works great.
yeah.
So.
And that's also helped out our business too, because it's our business is like family oriented. Of course, putting God first, but family oriented. And how can we serve others? Not just each other, but how can we serve other people? And with this patch, we know and believe that because of what it's done, we've seen what it's done. It says what it does, and we just like to serve others.
Yeah.
So that's
It helps the world when you're looking for ways. I talk to my family about being net givers, right? Like give more than you get, and that's maybe this is just the world that I live in, but I want there to be more of that in the world. You know,
Yes,
we were talking right
exactly.
before the show with my co-hosts and what we were like in our 30s. And I was like, I wasn't that. It was not that for sure. And I see a lot in younger people today. I do see a lot more of that, more friendship than I had growing up, more giving. And so I do have a lot of hope about the future.
Oh, yeah, we do too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
And who doesn't seek hope? You could be that one person that, they're looking for, just to give them a little bit of hope. Something, that they're like, wow, you're the only person that really cared today.
Yeah.
You just don't know where people have been in life.
Yeah.
And you don't know what they're going through that day. So and that's something we have to think about. Are we going to show them a fake person, or are we going to be real and just show that authenticity to them? And that's who we are. We've always been that way, and it's been consistent, no different. We've grown as a couple, doing this business together, but at the same time, we just love people.
So based on all that, you've kept friends for decades all over the state as you've grown. You've got a great new business. You've got, a new career for you, Michael.
Yes,
You've got all these things happening. I'm going to ask you to leave with this. Like, what's your one big relationship idea? I don't mean marriage. I mean friendships. I mean professional relationships. I mean marriage and kids. If you had one, and I didn't prep you for this at all, so I recognize I'm putting you on the spot, but if you had just one big relationship idea, what would you say to our audience?
It's about what's in it for them. We are all about us, right? I mean, I think everybody is. I mean, we're all sinners, right? We're all in it for us. And I think a lot of times we have to kind of step back, and it's not about us. It's about, that's why we were here. That's, when you talk about the gospel, right? We're not here for ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's my thing is what can we do to help somebody else? Whatever they're going through, or advice you can give them or help them. That's what it's about. Take you out of the equation and put somebody else in there.
Yeah, regardless of their belief system, their perspective, they're just meet them right where they are.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. Love them where they're at, to where they're
great.
going.
Well, you heard it here. So Tales of Abundance, thanks for being here, Michael. Thanks for being here, Lori. What an amazing show. You're going to send us all the information, the links to your company that you started, the science, the information, the background, the technology, and most importantly, how to contact you.
Yes, sir.
So people can learn about this. And listeners, you know what to do. You got to like, subscribe, share this episode with some friends, and let people know that you heard from Lori and Michael here first. So thanks for being here. Come back next time. I'm Dr. Jon Oberg, Tales of Abundance. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Listen and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Click follow for more content like this, or go to talesofabundance.com to join our community and get free tools.